Hi again, Adrian Cosman-Jones here from Onsite Helper. This video will be covering Google Drive as part of the G Suite Helper mini course. We'll start off with a Google Drive overview, followed by differences between My Drive and Shared Drive, fast ways to access the data you need to work on, customizing Google Drive for how you would like it, and finally, using software on your computer with Google Drive storage. Alrighty, to get started, a quick way to access Google Drive is to open up a new tab. Click on the 9 dots in the top right-hand corner and just select Drive from the menu. So we start off in My Drive. This is a quick snapshot of all the files you've recently been working on, as well as folders that you might have created or have shared with you. If you want to create a new file, you just click on New in the top left-hand corner. You can choose a folder, upload a file or a folder, or choose from a Google Doc, sheet, slide. If you click on More, there'll be some more Google Drive applications, as well as any third-party applications which you might have linked to your Google Drive. So back on My Drive, if you had created some folders, they'll appear here underneath your My Drive. So if you just expand or click on the little arrow here, that'll drop down and show any folders which you've created or you might have dragged from the shared with me into your My Drive. So you can quickly access these particular folders. If the folders are shared with other people, it'll show this little icon of a white person within the folder. If not, it's just sort of the gray default. You can also customize your folders, obviously, to have different colors. So this is great for, I guess, quick reference rather than sort of scanning through it. You just go by the color. Very handy to have. To change a color, you just simply right-click on the folder and change color and just choose your desired color. Any files that you create, generally you'll be the owner of, and they'll just by default live in your My Drive. You just sort of scroll down and they'll live down here somewhere. So then you can just simply drag and drop a particular file into a folder that will move it. And if you've shared that folder with other people, then other people will have access to your files. So you just need to be aware that if you create files and so do other people, then they, as I mentioned, they are the owner of that file. If someone was to delete a particular file and they're the owner, that would then delete for other people if they had access to that file or folder. So this can obviously cause problems, especially if you accidentally delete a particular user account and weren't aware that that particular user had created files. Suddenly you might be missing data. So a solution to that is to use Google Shared Drives, and that's these ones here. So the way Shared Drives works is you create these folders or sites and then assign permissions to those sites. So any files that are created, and if they get moved into this particular folder or site, then the owner gets removed from that particular file and the owner is now that particular site. So therefore, if you delete stuff in future, you don't have to worry about data disappearing because that data will stay with that particular site in that shared folder. So I'll go into more detail about shared drives in another video. Next on the list is computers. So computers is basically, will show any computer which you've installed Google Backup and Sync onto. And this basically is just a backup of the data of that particular laptop. So whichever files and folders you choose to run a backup on using the Backup and Sync app, that'll create this computer and any folders within it. Next, we've got Shared With Me. So Shared With Me is any files or folders which others have specifically shared with you by putting in your G Suite account with sharing. So you can basically scroll through these, and if you find any particular folders that you want to do access quite regularly, you can just drag that particular folder into your My Drive. That way it'll just appear just with all your other folders, just for faster access, rather than searching for it each time in Shared With Me. Then we have Recent. So Recent is one of my favorite places to go. This basically shows all the documents you've recently opened. Very handy when you're at work or when you're in the office. You might be working on particular Google Docs and files. And when you go home, if you have to continue working or jump on another computer, just click on recent and all these files will appear. So it just saves you having to browse through all your folders to find what you're last working on. Start is another great way to quickly access the files you want to work on regularly. So these are basically files which you've gone in either my drive or shared with me. Selected a particular file, right click on it and choose to start, add to start. And then this basically will go into this folder. So these are really your favorite files, just like bookmarking in your browser or adding to your favorites. Then finally, we've got the bin. So files will, when you move something to trash, it will basically go into this folder here, and it will stay here indefinitely. So if you are finding you're running out of space in Google Drive, it might be an idea to empty your trash. The way to do that is you can just right click, delete forever. Obviously, you can select multiples at once, and it will just delete them forever. If you don't do that, then yeah, all your files will just keep accumulating in bin and take up your storage. When you want to find files, the best option is to do a search. The reason for this is G Suite uses Google's search engine, and it can really predict or find the results a lot faster than you could just browsing files through my drive or shared drive. You might want to change the layout here by clicking on this option here. This way you can quickly at a glance see the dates when files were created to find that information a lot faster. Another benefit of using the search functionality is it will actually pick up text which is in PDFs and images. So if I was to scroll down here, we can see this particular PDF doesn't have the word Siebel in it, but it would be within the document itself. So it's picked up that text in there. Or even if we scroll down to this particular photo or this design file, PNG, we can see that it's picked up the word Siebel there. So yeah, by doing search results, it'll pick up that text in all sorts of files and folders. And if you're struggling to find what you're after, you might want to use the advanced search functionality. Just click on this drop down here. Now you can search by particular file types, maybe by who the owner might be, location, which could be a particular folder, or you could go by date, and obviously refine the search terms. Do a search. You should also take a look at priority. Priority is a space where, similar to recent and start, it will show a lot of recent documents at the top. And you can also sort out all your sort of favorite documents in places called Workspaces. To do that, you just sort of right click on a file which you want to work on regularly, and you choose Add to Workspace. So you can create a new workspace, let's say daily tasks, and then you would add all those particular files into that space just by clicking the Add Workspaces, and then they'll just sort of live under one of these folders here. You can obviously click on View Workspaces to see more, and I believe it can hold up to about 25 files in these workspaces. I want to discuss sharing in Google Drive. To share a particular file or folder, just right click on the item and go to Share. From here, it will show you who it's currently shared with and what permission they have. So you can add in individuals at the top here. Otherwise, if you wanted to share a file with others which might not have a G Suite or Google account, you'd want to change the option down here. So at the moment, it's currently set to everyone in the company can view this particular document. So they could basically search for it and find it in their search items. You can copy the link and give it to them. Otherwise, if you want to allow external people, you just click Change. And you just change it from here from Onsite Helper to anyone with the link, and then just choose a permission where they can view, comment in the document, or give them full edit access. So this is what you want to do if you want to share a particular Google file with someone externally and you don't know if they're using G Suite or Gmail. This will enable them to open up this particular document in their browser when they click on the link and edit it without having to log in. Now I'll show you other ways you can access your files. So you can access files offline. So let's say if you're about to jump on a plane or you don't have internet access, you can basically right click on a file and choose available offline. To see what files are available online versus offline, you can just click on this one up here, ready for offline. And this will enable you to preview all your offline files. Ones which are online only will be a little bit grayed out, where other ones will stay this particular color. So as you can see, most of these are grayed out, where these ones are still full color. The other thing you can do is access your files or sync them to your local computer. There's two ways to do this, either using Google Drive Backup and Sync or Google Drive File Stream. To do that, you need to download these apps. So you can just type in Backup and Sync. And just go to one of these links, make sure it's a Google one, and then just choose, depending on if you're on a PC or Mac, just choose one of these options. So you've got the two options here. You've got Backup and Sync, which will sync files to your local machine. Basically, it'll sync all the files which you have selected. This can use up quite a bit of hard drive space. You can also back up all your files to the cloud as well, to Google Drive, and be used as an offsite backup. Otherwise, there's Google Drive File Stream, which is more ideal for businesses, where it will give you access to all of your files and folders, or everything that's shared with you. However, it doesn't actually download all those files to your machine. What it does is it just gives you an icon for the file, and then if you were to open that file up, it will then download to your machine in real time, sort of like streaming it, I guess. So this enables you to not fill up your hard drive space or use up all your internet bandwidth. I might just jump over to my Windows PC because I'm using a Chromebook at the moment, and just give you an example of how this works. First, start off by downloading the Backup and Sync tool in Google. So simply copy and paste that URL, or just do a Google search for Backup and Sync. Agree to the terms, wait for it to download. Once it's done, open the exe in the bottom left-hand corner here. So this will install the application on your computer. Interesting enough, if you previously had Google Drive Sync installed, this app will automatically replace that with the new sync tool. So it's a nice clean backup process. So we'll just follow the prompts to get started. Sign in with your Google account. So this basically will tell us which folders on our PC we want to back up to Google Drive. So by default, it'll select your desktop, documents, and pictures folder. You may also want to browse your computer for any other important folders. Let's say if you've got MyOb or something like that, you'd select that particular folder. Yeah, so I'll just leave these ones ticked. Here you can also choose what type of quality you want the photos and videos. I'd recommend select the first option. It gives you unlimited storage, which is great. and it keeps it at a very high quality, which is 16 megapixels, up to 16 megapixels for photos. So if your photo is over 16 megapixel, it'll probably be reduced down to 16. And videos will be videos up to 1080p. So again, if your video is over 1080p, it'll probably get shrunk down to 1080p, but both of those are still very good quality, especially for personal use. One other thing you might want to adjust is the bandwidth. So if you click on network settings, if you're on a slower internet connection like ADSL2, you might want to limit the upload speed to maybe half the bandwidth, which is around 50 kilobits per second. Download, you might as well leave it to unlimited. But again, if it's quite a slow internet, you might want to limit that to a few megabits or a few thousand kilobits per second, just so you have a good internet experience while it's backing up. So we'll just go next. So now this is the Google Drive sync aspect, where it's going to sync data between Google Drive and your local computer, just as the previous Google Drive sync tool did. So here we're going to select which files in the Google Cloud are going to be downloaded to this machine and then kept in sync for any changes. This isn't a backup as such, that was the first part. This is the ongoing syncing of Google Drive data. So you can choose to sync everything, or you might just choose selected folders. And here by default, it's obviously choosing where the Google Drive sync directory will be installed on the computer. And again, you can change that as well. So we'll just start that process. So it's detected that because I was running Google Drive previously, there's some data in that local Google Drive folder, which it's asking, do you want to merge this data to go into the new folder? And I'll just continue with that. So here it's opened up the local folder, and it's telling me 12 items, new items will merge into this Google Drive sync. So I'll just continue with that. And you can see some stuff's coming through. Also a little message just telling you that it's in the taskbar here. So if I was to click on this bottom right hand corner, it says syncing 7 of 12. I can go into a bit of detail here just to show the status. So once that's done or in the process, you can then browse in your Google Drive, obviously open up Google Chrome browser, log into Google Drive, and you can see these folders are syncing in Google Drive. But here is the interesting part. This is a new tab for your computers which are being backed up. So here, I can see these folders on my local machine. The data will start coming into here shortly. And that's basically how it works. A couple of things to sort of make mention of. So once the data does go in here, you can actually choose to share this with other people if you wanted to. So if, let's say I just wanted to share this particular folder, I could drag it into my drive. You probably don't have to worry about that message because it's a Google Drive sync or Google Drive backup, not really sync. So even if you move things out of here, it'll still back up and come back into the Google Drive folder where it was originated from. But that does then give you the option to say anything that was on my computer, I want to then share it with other people. So you then obviously choose your sharing permissions and choose who you want to share it with externally if you wanted to. To download file stream, just simply type in file stream in Google, click on deploy, choose your operating system, download. Once it's finished download, open it up, install. So now you'll see the file stream application in the bottom right hand corner here. It'll start syncing all your files. So if you open up your Explorer, file stream appears as the G drive. So you can see my drive, which was all your personal files and folders. or you've also got shared drives. If you've got the right version of G Suite, then you can obviously access all your shared drive files, and you can basically just open up any file and it will open it in the browser or open it in a local application on your computer like Microsoft Word or Excel. Obviously, any files you drop in here will then sync back up to Google Drive, and any files you click on here. So all these files aren't downloaded to the computer as such, they're just sitting here as sort of shortcuts, and when you open them up, that's when they stream either to a local computer, which these ones will, or there's all these ones with 1 kilobyte, they're Google Docs or Google Sheets, so those ones are going to open up in the browser, as opposed to these ones which will open up as a local application on the computer. So that's file stream. So this concludes the Google Drive overview. Hope you've gotten some benefit out of better ways to use your Google Drive. Stay tuned for our next sessions, our Google Drive Advanced sessions, which will cover making your Google Drive secure with user access groups, protecting your data when sharing externally, disable downloading, printing, and copying of files, editing Microsoft Office files in the browser, collaboration tools for PDFs and images, templates to standardize your operations, and recommended add-ons and extensions of third parties. So stay tuned for that. We'll be in touch shortly.